We were pretty famous back in high school. Trust us!
Had a whole future ahead of us, but now we suck.
All that potential now is flowing in the aqueducts.
Through the sands of time, many did forget.
But now our time has come to resurrect. But a podcast?
Sad I know, but can you blame us?
We are desperate to be much more than high school famous.
Hello and welcome to High School Famous, the podcast where we will probably talk about high school. I don't know. Or maybe we won't. This intro, we're either going to have to work on a new intro or I'm just going to keep making it sound like crap every single week.
The podcast we record each week.
Yeah.
I'm your host, Sean.
I'm also your host, but not Sean. I'm Matt.
You're a differing host.
I'm a differing host. Same host every week.
Each,
but different
you beat
to
me
you.
You beat me to it. I was going to say you're the same Matt each week.
Yeah.
But a different host.
We're
each different hosts, but we're the same host.
Yeah. Am I the same me?
Each of us different hosts.
I'm hoping I'm not the same me every week. I'm hoping I've grown as a person throughout time.
But are we talking about so far from the start of the podcast to now, or throughout? I mean, there's not a lot of time to grow from the time we started to now. There's some.
We've been recording for 6 months, releasing for 4.
Right.
I've been releasing for way longer than 4, but the podcast has been releasing for 4. Are you arguing against how long I've been releasing?
I'm doubting.
You're doubting I've been releasing more than 4 months?
Now, here's what I'm wondering what you mean by that. Do you mean that you've just from the date of your first release to now, the amount of time that has passed is how long you've been releasing? Are you compiling all of your releases?
Oh, gotcha.
Like, do you think you've built up 4 months of release?
That's a good question. No, wait. I take that back. That's not a good question. It's a question.
Oh, come on.
It's definitely a question. I don't know if it's a good one.
At least it's not
but it's an interesting question.
Yeah. Very insightful.
Yeah, I don't know. See, here's the thing. I'd have to know how many releases I've had, and then I'd have to also compile the data of about, on average, how long a release lasts.
And unless you're a complete psychopath, I would imagine this is purely guesstimation.
Oh, yeah, I don't...
Unless you have a log of this sort of thing.
I have not kept track. For a long time.
Rumor has it you have a log for this. Rumor has it you have a log for this sort of thing, but do you have a log of this sort of thing?
I don't like the word log in this instance.
Why not?
I don't know. It's weird.
It suggests. Have you ever seen a small log? It suggests good things for you.
I'm just realizing how we just get into
how
these.
Quickly we devolve to.
Yeah. Well, yeah. The last so many episodes have just the intros on these episodes have been so just. On par for us, I guess. I don't know. It's very us, but man, anybody who doesn't know us and listens to this, I'll be surprised. But
yeah, well,
who are these idiots? They're just disgusting people.
We've shown that we're not sticking to an established format or flow for the show.
Yeah.
So. If
we had one, it'd probably be better.
It might be. We don't know.
Right.
If we change the way we do it and we get our listenership grows by leaps and bounds, then we can probably point to that being the issue.
Right.
I don't know. I suppose if we're gonna try anything like that, we might as well start early while we're still new to this and we don't have a large listener base. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Maybe we should stop telling the people that do listen to this that we're not doing so good. Maybe we should just be like, this thing is going so well. We have so many listeners. Please continue to share it out there. But holy cow, this thing's exploding.
We could do that.
Yeah.
But
what a release.
Maybe next week we'll wait a minute. How many meetings? Is this a double or even more multiple meeting for release?
Yes.
How many ways are you meaning release in that sentence?
At least 2, possibly 3.
What's the duration of each? What's the duration of each of those releases?
Yeah, no, I'm not keeping track. All of this being said, though, anybody who is listening to this, if you could go on any platform that you are listening to us on, please rate us, leave comments, please share us with other people if you enjoy listening to this, because that goes a long way. We can get more listeners, and it's just more fun that way for us. We're not really looking to make a career out of this by any means, but more listeners is always more enjoyable. Getting feedback and all that kind of stuff. I know we've said it before, but we're going to say it again. So please rate, subscribe, all that jazz. It means a lot and goes a long way for us.
Yeah, we want to interact and make this feel like more of a community type of a thing. You can greatly influence the show if you want.
Yeah, otherwise it's just two lifelong friends talking about the same dumb shit we've been talking about for years.
It's true.
Yeah.
And if we don't receive feedback, we'll create our own imaginary feedback and base our show decisions on that.
That could be fun for no one.
Yeah. Anyone who's waiting to hear their feedback,
I mean, instead we're just listening to our own feedback, and it's just, it's the same shit we've been doing already anyways.
Yeah. We're not referring to audio feedback that is a cause for recording disruptions and things like that. We're talking about your input.
Yeah.
We're listening to our own input.
Yeah, exactly.
And that input, after repeated input, you're often met with release.
Yep. Then there's a lot of output.
Yeah. Well, each release. What?
So it depends. It depends on, sometimes it's not always a lot of output. Depends on how
I see.
Often, if you're released too soon after the previous release, sometimes there's not as much output as the previous release.
Right, you haven't had time to compile new content.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So speaking of speaking of us doing the same shit we do all the time, bad news.
Bad news.
I can't remember. I think I went last week. First last week. Not that matters.
I don't know.
But
yeah, I'll go first this time.
Okay. Sean's going to go first and tell us about his bad news.
I obviously didn't read it, but it does look long again. I'm not liking this disparity between what I type and what you type.
Anyway. All right. We'll talk about it.
All right. So anyway, this is fresh, straight from the mind of me and no one else. You know what used to be great? MTV. You know what really used to be great? Video. You know what really, really used to be great? Music. You know what really, really, really used to be great? Awards. Hey everyone, I'm Shaunsty, former owner of a Flowbee, and I'm going to tell you a tale of when I attended the 1993 Video Music Awards. Okay, so I was 11 at an award show. Great. I bet you're wondering how Shaunsty, a former owner of a pair of sauna pants, received an invite to such a prestigious award show. Well, shut up and I'll tell you. I went to my favorite breakfast spot, Jim's Coffee Shop and Bakery, where the scones are dry and the coffee is thick and acidic. Unbeknownst to me, it was closed for filming a movie. Unbeknownst to me, squared, the star of the movie was my babysitter / heartthrob, Christian Michael Leonard Slater. Is that his full name?
Yep.
Oh, my heartthrob, I guess. Okay. And unbeknownst to me, cubed, he was going to be the host of the 1993 Video Music Awards. Cubed. Was he in Gleaming the Cube? Was he in that movie?
I don't know.
He
was your babysitter.
Cubed.
He was your babysitter / heartthrob. You should have a better understanding of his IMDb page.
Yeah. But the unbeknownst was on him, as the night of the awards fell on one of my parents' many anniversaries. So 2 nights before the show, Christian Michael Leonard Slater and I boarded our flight to Los Angeles, which translates to the City of Angels. So, okay, okay. It had everything you could have asked for. A strong-faced Katie Lang winning Best Female Video for Constant Craving Sigh. Oh wait, do I have to sigh?
Yeah.
Constant Craving Total Fave. The homie John Walsh, host of America's Most Wanted, was in attendance. I assume following up on a lead. Oh yeah, could be. And even Milton Berle was there, 9 years before his untimely death. But what really pearled my jam, winners of Video of the Year, Best Group Video, Best Metal Hard Rock Video, and Best Direction in a Video, was the heart-to-heart I got to have with fellow one-time potty putter owner Calvin Cordozer Brodus Jr., Snoop, better known as Snoop Doggy Dogg. Is that his real name? This is insane.
Kelvin Kodazar Brodus Jr.
Junior, even, who was recently charged with first-degree murder. I not only gave him pristine legal advice while he sipped his gin and I sipped my juice, but also suggested the reason of the case would make a catchy tune. I'm guessing he made a song about it.
Yeah,
that I
murder
don't know
was
about.
the case.
Oh, there we go. Oh, wait, I helped him with that. Of course I know about it. Showing once and for all, proving someone's innocence isn't just nothing but a G thing, it's nothing but a we thing. Yeah, I heavily influenced. Now, when did that song come out? I'm guessing it was post 93. Did you do the research on that?
1995.
Okay, well, yeah.
Yeah.
So he was like ready to record that sucker, and I gave him.
Well, yeah,
I gave
2
him
years
that.
prior. Yeah, you gave him advice.
What do you mean?
You gave him advice 2 years before he recorded that song.
Well, that's when it was released.
Yeah.
You don't know when he recorded it.
We're not going to be talking
I'm
about
assuming you
releasing
didn't
again.
go that far.
No more talks about release.
Oh yeah, you're right.
So
I helped Calvin Cordozer Brodus Jr. with a release of his, if you want to say that.
yeah, I guess I don't want to say it,
but fully beknownst. This was
that
a
was
fully
beknownst.
beknownst
Yeah, that
release.
was fully beknownst.
Yeah,
it wasn't unbeknownst to him.
I don't know if you could accomplish an unbeknownst release assist.
Probably not.
Probably not. Maybe, I mean, if you're sleeping, I guess.
So, full disclosure on this news of yours.
Yeah, you already knew all of this.
I started writing. Yeah, right. I started writing your news last night, and much like every time I write your news, I was blanking very hard on what to write. So I yelled, "Hey, Aman, help me write Sean's news." And she said, "No, I don't want to help you write it. Just write something about the MTV Video Music Awards." And I just like, what? Where did that come from? She's like, "I don't know. Just talk about the time he went to the 1993 MTV Music Video Awards." I'm like, okay, I'm coming in the room. And because she was in the kitchen, I said, I'm going to come over there. Me and you are writing this. So about 90% of this, she wrote.
Wow.
And
that is awesome.
I was laughing hysterically the whole time. The first line that really got me, because we had changed up the order of some of this because it was worded slightly differently before, but when she wrote "a strong-faced Katie Lang," I like almost lost it because I'm just like, that's such a ridiculous way to describe someone.
I know. Babysitter / heartthrob.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So she wrote She wrote babysitter. I added heartthrob. A floby.
Okay. What is a
floby? Was like
what's a floby?
I believe it was like, you know, in Wayne's World when they made the joke about the suck cut. I believe a floby was something like that. Like it was like a hair cutting assistant tool kind of thing.
Oh,
at least that's the way she described it.
Well, why would I have gotten rid of something so amazing?
I don't know. You also,
why would I be a former owner?
Why are you also a former owner of some sauna pants?
Well, because those things suck. So it's like they have no reason to keep those. But a floby, it's endless. I mean, unless it broke. I could see maybe it broke down.
And then
I got rid of it.
Yeah, you couldn't get them anymore because they no longer sold them.
Yeah, because the market decided it wasn't a worthwhile enough product to keep making.
Right. So we definitely looked up a lot of true, real facts when writing this.
I like how I casually list off the Pearled My Jam, and then I just happened to mention. I felt necessary to rattle off their awards they won that particular evening.
Yep, they won quite a few. So yeah, there's the whole thing about Jim's Coffee Shop and Bakery, which was at one. I think it closed just like a couple of years ago, but it was a real place in northeast Minneapolis where they filmed the movie Untamed Heart, starring Christian Slater.
Oh,
yeah.
Now I don't know.
Sorry, Christian Michael Leonard Slater.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, man. Did you pick those two people because their names are so long?
No, that did you
happen to just? It just happened.
Well, because we picked the 1993 MTV Video Music Awards, and then it just so happened Christian Slater was doing that. So when we were writing this, Iman's like, "Oh, what's his middle name?" And I looked it up. I'm like, oh, this is amazing. He has 2 middle names.
And then you decided I was going to interact with Snoop Dogg, and then you found out his name was like...
Well, she already knew his name was Kelvin Brodus, but again, looked up his middle name, and I'm like, oh, and he's also a junior. This is fantastic. So yeah, it all just kind of worked out that everybody had like super long names. We should have looked up Katie Lang, John Walsh, and Milton Berle's middle names as well. But
yeah, what is this constant craving sigh total fave? Is that a song
the
title? The
song is
something?
Constant
Or an album
Craving,
title?
and then she wanted you to sigh and say, total fave, like it's your totally favorite song by Katie Lang.
Oh, did she say that in the song?
No,
or was that like
that's what Iman wanted you to say?
Oh,
like it's your total favorite song.
Like it's my total favorite. Okay.
Yeah, you blew that. You
Katie
blew that
Lang
one.
winning Best Female Video for Constant Craving. Total fave.
Yep.
Like that's how I should have read it.
Yeah.
This is the problem you run into when you're reading these things cold.
Right.
If you have any kind of pacing or something you want that you have in your head when you're writing it, the other person is not gonna
exactly.
just innately do that.
We have to make some decisions on the fly. I'm curious.
Like I made an awesome decision on last week's news with my pacing. If you remember.
No, that was horrible, but it worked out in the end because I threw you off with that last line. So
you did. Yeah, it really messed up I tripped over that one at the finish line. You're curious about what now?
What, like all these your parents have many what are one of your parents' many anniversaries? What are all their anniversaries?
Well, I just took that as, they're married X number of years, they've had that many anniversaries. And this was one of them because it fell on the day of their anniversary.
Oh, it fell on their wedding anniversary?
Yeah, that's what I thought you meant.
Oh, I just thought it meant that it was one of your parents' many, like they celebrate tons of different stuff
throughout the year. Throughout the year, they have anniversaries for various things.
Yeah. I guess not.
Yeah. Nope.
Okay.
Nope. It's what I said. It's gonna be what I said. Yeah.
Okay. Very well.
I can't think of anything. I can't think of anything right at the moment, and B, I don't want to dangerously think about something I might think about because it's involving my parents, and I don't want to necessarily think certain things they might have an anniversary for.
Oh, like sexual or otherwise.
So yeah.
Okay.
Or otherwise, meaning any possible thing. I don't want to think about it. Yeah, I don't want to think about that.
Okay.
Any annual thing my parents might want to celebrate, I don't want to think about it at all.
Yeah, considering the word annual itself is already treading very closely to another.
Yeah. That's a tightrope walk right there.
Well,
so that's it for me.
All right. Well, that was fun.
News.
I hope you guys enjoyed Sean's tale of going to the 1993 MTV Video Music Awards at the age of 11 with his babysitter / heartthrob, Christian Michael Leonard Slater.
Now, if we want to be technical, if it did fall on my parents' anniversary, I was then still 10. I would not have turned 11 yet by then. So
I can't remember when it was. It was like it was.
Is that a summer thing?
It would have been probably later in the year. I'd have to look it up again.
Oh, I suppose if
they're care.
Yeah, don't want to.
Yeah, I looked it up.
It was a big year It was a big year for music and music videos.
Yep.
So I'm really I feel very fortunate that I was able to attend because it was a historic night, especially for Pearl Jam.
Yeah.
And at the time, I don't even know if I knew who Pearl Jam was.
Possibly not.
So it was a very big night for me.
It was also
a band I knew nothing about.
It was also Kurt Cobain's last MTV Video Music Awards appearance because he killed himself the next year.
I'm trying to
allegedly
think where in my life I would have first been exposed to like Nirvana and Pearl Jam and the like. That movement of music. I think I was
exposed to it right at that time, but not that I was like into it at that time. But I definitely had heard it at that time.
I'm sure then at that year that I had heard Pearl Jam and Nirvana before, but maybe not known who they were.
Right.
You know, I bet you I had heard them before.
Right.
But Pearl Jam then went on to briefly be what I considered my favorite band for a few years.
Right.
So at the time,
then they went and ruined that themselves.
They, but had I known that that was going to happen, they would become my favorite band temporarily, I maybe would have appreciated being there more and seeing them win all those awards.
Right.
But at the time, I didn't know.
Right.
You know, can't predict the future
Well,
unless you want to base it on past experiences and behaviors.
right. I mean, you can definitely predict it. You just don't know until it happens.
Right. You can't always accurately predict it.
Right.
Like I can make a prediction right now about the future.
Right.
Doesn't mean I'm going to be right.
Exactly.
It's like a fact. You know, anything I say, I can make anything up and it is a fact. It's just not a proven fact. Like I can say 1/3 of Americans have only one leg. That is by definition a fact. It is just not a proven fact.
Right. Or an accurate fact.
So, yeah, same thing.
We could probably prove pretty easily that that's not an accurate fact.
No, it doesn't. A fact and a fact does not have to be accurate
Right.
to be by definition a fact.
I suppose.
I
I think we need to
know this. I know
redefine.
this.
Yeah, we need to redefine the word fact to be more. It needs to be more concrete.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's probably safe to say that 95% of Americans just have a misconception about the meaning of the word fact, and that is a fact.
Okay.
Hey, it's time for your news.
Yeah, this is taking a real deep, like nosedive into whatever. All right, so here's my news. I did look at a book that didn't contain fifth thing in ABCs. I got a thought to try and pass through living days without using this thing. I not do in such a smart way. I was unhappy about my tiny thing, so I punched it, and now it pains. My hurt stays always. Now I got a throbby thing. Can you put it in my foot walking suits? Can you put it in my foot walking suits? Question mark.
Can you put you?
Can you put you in my foot walking suits? Okay, so yeah, can you put yourself in my shoes? Is that what that's saying? All right.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
Got it.
Who would want to walk around in this way? I can't zzz. I can't snack. I can't focus on job work. No pills say, so long pain throb. I can think of no additional fixing things to do. I must gain aid. I look to you all, out in podcast land, looking for ways to undo thing boom ouch, constant pain, hurts so goodly, job work, and so long zzz. Many thanks you all for good think ways. I shall pay good dollar amount to any human bring down throb. Go on 2 round things with bars and chain again. Much fun I want to do. My constant girl partner also bring good things my way if fix happens. You know what I talk about. Night body smacking. Hats on during. Total finish, both of us. Proximity humans will unzzz. I thought of as manly again. I thought of as manly again. Job promotion to follow. Add big dollar to human. I just totally added a word in there. Bring big dollars to bank account. Oh, because human is right above it on the line, so I think that's what I did.
Yeah.
It'd been funnier to just add big dollar to human bank account, but all right.
I should have.
Buy small child. Child do laundry, dish, floor, and window scrub for us. No cops know. Hush hush or jail. I no admit in court. Oops. Trash this audio. I am on lam now. Wait. No actual admit? Only thought up situation? Phony alarm? Much calming. Anyway, that's sort of stuff I do now. Still ouchie from punch. Fin. Like all of that, like Neanderthal talk, and I still know the word fin at the end.
Well, do you know what's happening in this?
I punched
news?
myself because I have a tiny dick.
Well,
Is that what it's?
yeah. Well, okay. I should rephrase my question. Do you know what is missing in this news?
I don't think there's a single word with the letter E in it.
Correct.
Okay. So you wrote the
Do you know
entire
what- do you know
thing
what-
and then went back through and deleted all the words that had E's in them? No. Okay, you just thought it through as you were writing it?
I just used. Yeah, I thought it as I went. I used words in place of words that have e's.
Gotcha.
But some of the places could be much more eloquently said, but I made them sound dumber.
Mhm.
Where you could, like my tiny thing,
Right.
you know, You can, yeah. So, do you know what book that is that doesn't contain the letter E?
No.
There's a book called Gatsby, not to be confused with The Great Gatsby.
Okay.
There's just a book that's called Gatsby, and I forget how long it is, but the author decided to write a book without using the letter E in the whole thing.
Okay.
So that's the book that you did look at that didn't contain fifth thing in ABCs.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I forgot about some of this. I wrote this not that long ago. It was just a couple hours ago or an hour ago. But I forgot about some of the stuff that came up. Hats on during.
Yeah, why?
Total.
You know what I talk about. Night body smacking, hats on during, total finish both of us.
I was
Proximity
hoping that
humans
it would
will
get more-
unzz. So basically I'm going to wake up my neighbors.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yes. You know, wake
Yeah,
your
we're going
neighbors.
to translate this whole thing.
I mean, I don't know, but I was hoping that you would get thrown off more when it came to the part where it said, add big dollars to bank account, buy small child do laundry, dish, floor, and window scrub for us.
Yep.
You're buying a kid and you're making the kid do chores.
So basically I read
I
read this book and now I'm trying to speak without using ease, but not in such a smart way.
Yeah.
I don't do it, but not do in such a smart way.
Pretty much.
Okay. And then out of nowhere, I was unhappy about my tiny thing. That just comes out of left field. Like, hey, I'm going to tell you about this book and how I don't want to use the letter E anymore. By the way, I have a small penis. I'm not happy about it.
Well,
so I punched myself and now it hurts.
Yeah.
And the hurt is consistent.
It's
and now
my hurts
and now
stay
it's
always.
just and now I have a throbby thing. So it's just not only is the pain always there, but it's constantly throbbing. Can you put yourself in my shoes? Who would want to walk around this way? So basically, who would want to go around in the world having a throbbing, painful penis that is irritatingly small? I can't sleep anymore. I can't eat anymore.
So,
I can't focus on my work. Okay.
Maybe you can, but I couldn't think of a word to replace sleep that didn't have an E in it. There's like rest and snooze and doze. I couldn't think of something. So I just
Nap.
put Z's there.
Said
that
nap.
would have been good. Yeah. But
I was gonna say
that technically would have worked.
Slumber. Oh shit, no.
Right. It technically would have worked for nap, but nap doesn't always represent your night's sleep.
Right.
It usually means like
can't
a little
rest.
tiny bit of sleep during the day.
Yeah, rest has an E. Strange.
Slumber, snooze, doze, snore. Like, I don't know. So anyway.
Yeah.
You can't eat. You can't focus on
I can't focus on my work. There's no pills that help, which is crazy.
Yep.
And I can't think of no other ways of fixing this. Right?
Yeah.
I must gain aid.
You must.
So I look out to our audience. If there's any ways that they can help.
We know.
Yeah. If there's any ways they can help undo
we can rely on them for responses.
My penis boom ouch constant pain.
I was about to drink something.
It hurts. Hurt so too goodly.
Oh, hold on. So this is how this is supposed to go. Looking for ways to undo things. I made it just so ridiculous here. For things to undo thing boom boom ouch constant pain hurt. So you
goodly
missed job work.
Okay, yeah. It just says thing
I'm sure
boom,
there was
ouch.
supposed to be punctuation in there.
It might have taken out a word because it thought it was a duplicate too. Because it just says thing boom ouch instead of thing boom boom ouch.
No, that's.
Oh, you said okay. You said boom boom ouch.
Sorry.
Okay.
Then I just accidentally anyway. Yeah. So to goodly job work, meaning to be able to do your job well again.
Gotcha.
And have a long sleep.
So many thanks all for good think ways. So thank you all for coming up with any idea to fix my thing boom ouch constant pain.
Yeah.
I will pay much money basically if anybody can help bring my throbbing down. Go on 2 round things with bars and chain again.
You want to ride a bike again.
Gotcha. I want to be able to ride a bike again, but I can't because of my throb.
This is basically debilitating in a way for you. So
much fun I want to do. My constant girl partner also bring good things my way if fix happens. So obviously we already know what all this is. Waking up the neighbors with boom boom.
With night body smacking.
With night body smacking. that I'll be thought of as manly again. I thought of as manly again. Job promotion to follow.
Yeah.
So basically, once I regain my prowess, my job will reward me with a promotion.
No, well, I mean, sure, but I meant
I'll be able to work.
That'll happen.
Yeah, I'll be able. I'll gain confidence in my job as well.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure about hats on during. But with the promotion, I'll get more. I'll get more money in my bank account, which will allow me to purchase a child that will do my laundry, dishes, floors, and windows. But I don't want anybody to call the cops, or I will go to jail for child labor. Is basically what it's saying. But in the end, this is all just a thought. It's not real, so no big deal. But still, ouchie pain.
Well, because I like how you start to freak out. like this actually happened with the kid thing.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh no, trash this audio. Oh wait, no, this is just something I made up? Okay, never mind.
Right.
I got scared for a second. Yeah, I think if you hadn't accidentally threw in the word human and before bank account and you got stumbled on that part of it, it would have been, you might have reacted more to the buy small child part.
Maybe. Or
really hoping to trip you.
Or at that point, I'm just like, well, the rest of this is so ridiculous that this doesn't even, The whole thing was so weird, and I think I was having more issues with just the fact that it was so, basically reading this covered up the fact that I'm horseshit at cold reading things anyways, and I stumble, because I get ahead of myself when I read sometimes, so I start reading, as I'm saying it out loud, my eyes are actually ahead of where I'm actually reading, which is...
Well, that's what you're supposed to do.
Well, but you know what I mean? My brain starts to process what I'm about to start reading versus what I'm currently reading. So I jump ahead of myself. Yeah. And that's where I start to add things like human bank account.
When Leo was first born and I first started reading to him, I was horrible.
Right.
I was stumbling over words so much.
He's just like, give me this. I can do it better.
Over again. Pretty much. But after a little bit, you get retrained to be able to look ahead at what's coming up and say what your eyes just just looked at before, so you can kind of constantly go without tripping yourself up.
Right. My biggest problem with just reading, if I want to just sit down and read a book, my biggest problem with that is I probably have undiagnosed ADD. But what I'll start to do, huh? You say maybe me too, or you're I agree. Yeah, you definitely do.
I'm sure there's some part of the spectrum that's
we're all
not all the way
we're all
to
on the spectrum.
Normal side that we're sitting at.
Yeah, we're definitely all on the spectrum, otherwise it wouldn't be a spectrum, but it's just where on it. But my biggest thing when I read is I'll get so focused on picturing it that I'll continue to read but not retain anything I just read. So I'll read a whole page and then be and then suddenly focus in again and just be lost. So then I'll have to go back and reread stuff. So I had to give up just reading books altogether, and I just had to start doing audiobooks because it was the only way I could take it in and not lose where I was and stuff. Even though I can still do it with audiobooks too sometimes, but
if I'm reading something, and this I noticed this more when I was say reading chapters in a book for school,
right?
You're in high school and you have to read chapters 8 through 10 of your history book or whatever. You start reading and you're reading it and you're also taking in what you're reading, but then it gets to a point where you lose interest and you're just reading it, but it's it's not getting past your eyes.
Yeah,
it's not going past your eyes into your brain. I do it all the time, and this same with me. I can easily be listening to something like a podcast or an audiobook, and if I'm working at the same time, or if my mind just wanders out to something else, I'm now just hearing the noise of the audiobook or the podcast,
right?
And I'm not necessarily listening to it, so I have to go back a lot with that kind of stuff too.
Yeah, I had a big problem with that when I was still working at the golf course, and they wanted me to learn do testing to do chemical spraying to be able to fertilizer and all that kind of stuff. He gave me the book that I needed to study to start learning all that stuff. And it was I wouldn't say it was a super thick book or whatever, but it had it was maybe about 3/4 of an inch thick or a 1/2 inch thick book. And I could not get past the first page. It was just such dry, terrible material to try to learn that literally, like, I took the book home, I started studying it, and I couldn't get past the first page. And I just literally, like, went back to work the next day and gave him the book back and I said, I can't. I just gave up. Like, there's no way I can sit here and read through this. That's not how, I can't learn that way. It just doesn't work for me.
I'm still trying to keep track of the numbers 1 through 18.
Yeah.
And how to make a circular shaped hole in the ground. Okay. You want me to learn this crap?
Mm-hmm.
Give it to someone else.
Yeah. Making the circular shaped holes was really easy, actually. I learned that day one.
Yeah. Did you retain it?
Oh, yeah. I could go out and do it right now.
Oh, good. Yeah,
I could easily hit that. Ground crew maintenance on a golf course is the easiest job I've ever had. But it was also very fun. That's a really fun summer job, just because you just get to go out and just get to be outside all day. And I don't know. I like doing grounds maintenance and stuff. It's fun.
And the great thing is, it's a golf course, so it's only going to be open when there's nice weather.
Yeah, pretty much. So yeah, we would definitely have a lot of just rain days where, we wouldn't go into work. But then I started working in the shop, like doing maintenance on equipment. So even rainy days I was working. But yeah, that was fun sometimes of like, oh, it's crappy weather today. Guess I just don't have to get up to be out at the golf course by like 5 a.m. to make sure you're out there before all the golfers are out there. Because, man, those guys would get there ridiculously early to start playing. Like the sun would barely be up.
You should share some golf course stories. Or working at the golf course.
I wish I had really fun, crazy stories from out there, but nothing super crazy ever really happened. And also, that was 22 years ago when I worked there. Yeah. I started working there when I was 16. But yeah, nothing super crazy ever happened there. I worked there for 4 years.
I mean, there was when Mike worked there, and he
that was fun.
Did some damage, but
oh man, we fucked off way too much when he started working there, and we would literally just go like we would just go and like park. We had these little trails that kind of cut through these like weeded areas off the course, and we would literally just go and park in there and just smoke cigarettes for like an hour. The one fun thing that came out of that was we wrote a song when we were in a band together where all the lyrics for the song.
I know what this one is.
All the lyrics for the song were this one guy. We had to follow this group because there was a tournament going on. So we had to follow this group behind because it was a really, really hot day. So we had to go back behind everybody and spray water over all the greens so they wouldn't burn. And so this one group was the last group. So we had to follow them. And every time they were done putting, then we'd go out there and we'd water the green. And this guy was having a really bad game and just kept like saying all this crazy shit. And we were writing down every single thing he was saying. And then we used that for lyrics to a song that we called Paul's Great Golf Game because his name was Paul and he was having a very bad golf game.
Fun fact, song was runner-up at the 1998 MTV Video Music Awards.
What song?
Paul's Great Golf Game.
Why 98?
That's when we were 16.
Didn't write that when we were 16.
I'm sure that happened later, but...
Much later. But at least 2 or 3 years later. That might have been the second or
2001.
Second to last or last year that I worked there.
Fine. 2000. Yeah. We'll just say the year 2000 then. The MTV, the VMAs.
But then, yeah.
Who won?
I remember like when I quit that job, I'm not even going to answer your question. When I quit that job, I just stopped going to work because my boss stopped showing up. So then I got irritated because it was over the winter. Right. And so like he just stopped showing up to work. So I would go in and be in that shop by myself, sharpening like mower blades and like using all this very dangerous equipment. And I was like 18, 19 years old by myself in there. So then eventually I just got pissed that he wasn't coming in anymore. So I just stopped coming in. And then it was like a couple weeks later when I finally called him and told him like I quit basically. And he said, "Oh yeah, I was wondering why you stopped showing up." Like, really? Okay. And that's when me and you went and got our temp jobs at the warehouse.
I mean, I'm the type of guy that is in charge of a golf course in Rogers, Minnesota is probably not the most ambitious.
It was in Dayton.
Oh, sorry. You're right. But there's also a bowling alley attached to it, which I'm sure he was also in charge of.
Or was somebody else ran that. But
so he only did the golf course?
He was the groundskeeper.
Oh, wow. So he didn't even run.
No, he didn't own it or anything. No, he was just the groundskeeper that I worked for.
So I wonder how long after you just stopped going that he first went there. Like you said, he stopped showing up.
Oh, yeah. How many days went by that nobody was there?
How many days went by where no one was there?
Well, it was during the...
I bet you he got called.
Well, it was during the winter, so it didn't matter. Because, or just before... Yeah, it was probably just about to get into the spring, probably. So, yeah, it was not like... It's not like nobody was... Yeah, it's not like there wasn't anybody mowing any of the grass or anything. It was just getting out of hand or anything. Because it was we had a crew of 10 people during the summer. So even if I didn't show up, it's not like work wasn't going to get done. So,
and aside from him in the winter, was it just you?
Yeah, because for the longest time, nobody he would be the only one working in the winter, and I don't remember why I started doing winters there. I
mean, you probably wanted to have a continue working.
Yeah, because I think. Because when we were in high school and I started working there, then in the wintertime I picked up jobs elsewhere. So we were working at the grocery store for a while and different stuff. So I'd always have a different winter job. So then all of a sudden it was then I started working there in the winter and I was like, oh, cool, I don't have to get another job. But the hours were a lot less and crap. But I'm trying to remember what I made there. It was nothing. I think I was making at that time. I was making $8 an hour.
Thanks for mentioning all this because it keeps us qualified to remain on the top.
Oh, because I mentioned
20-something list of high school related podcasts on the internet in 2021.
The top 25 that only contains 24.
Something. I think it was 23.
Oh yeah,
a list of top 25 that contains 23.
Right.
But either way, we still qualify to be on that list.
God damn it! I mentioned high school again. I'm trying so hard not to.
Yeah. Is it hard?
Oddly enough, it shouldn't be, but it seems like, so the biggest problem is that's...
Our best days are behind us?
Well, yeah. It's downhill. It was down...
That's the highlight of our lives?
Since 2001, it's just been downhill. No, just because that's where our story kind of begins. We met each other in junior high, but we really started hanging out right at the end of junior high into high school. So,
Oh, yeah, because neither of us drove yet. Right?
I drove. I got my license on my 16th birthday.
Right, but
when we first started hanging out.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking.
No, I think I probably had my permit at that point.
Because I think I got the first time we ever hung out. Where it was just you and I at your house, and didn't I get dropped off by my parents?
No, but we came and picked you up. So we drove all the way out.
Okay.
Yeah, we drove all the way out to your house, picked you up, and drove all the way back to my house. And then then you hung out for that whole weekend. The first time we ever hung out outside of outside of school. And you also
being a group of other friends.
Yeah,
or something.
And you also called me randomly out of the blue that night.
I did. Yeah, I don't know what that was.
Yeah, it was just. We kind of talked in high school or in school a little bit, but not that much. And then you just called me randomly and asked if we wanted to hang out. And I just let me and my mom come get you and bring you to my house for the entire weekend.
I was going to say, I'm sure that if it went poorly, that's a big gamble.
Yeah.
But I'm sure if it went poorly, I could have arranged to be picked up. Or you guys maybe would have, you guys did a lot of driving already, but maybe my parents would have come to pick me up if it just sucked or I hated it. But yeah, otherwise, just without that possibility, just thinking about it, I'm just sort of brought there.
Right.
And what if it was an awful time? And I would have essentially maybe been stranded there.
Yeah, granted, it wasn't insanely far away. It was about 20 miles or so, which isn't a huge distance, but for a couple of kids that don't drive, it's kind of a long way.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
I was about to look it up. I don't care.
Yeah, no, it's not that. It's rough. Roughly
too much work.
It's somewhere between, I mean, I think it was like about 12 miles to the high school for me. So going a bit beyond that to get to your place was maybe, roughly 20 miles, give or take.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, it seems far, but like for me, that's as far as you had to go to really get anywhere. So it wasn't like I was so used to trips taking that long.
Right.
So that was nothing.
Yeah. I mean, so the crazy thing too is like that night, I remember it was at night that we went to go get you. And this is before, any sort of GPS
headlights
and stuff. Not before headlights. It's before GPSs.
Yeah, you're right.
So we had to get directions to get all the way out there. And you and your parents lived in the frickin' like woods, basically. Like,
yeah,
kind
I'm sure
of way
it wasn't
out
me
there.
giving. Was it?
I don't remember who.
Did I give the directions?
I don't remember who gave us the directions, but
because I imagine I would not have been good at that.
Right.
I mean, I'm still not good at that. So I imagine back then I was
like
even worse.
turn left at that road, the next road after the previous road.
No, I mean, I would have been, and I'm still this way. I'm not a landmark person. I'm a street person.
Yeah, agreed.
Like if someone says turn left at the Burger King, get out of my face. I'm not taking directions from you.
My freaking Google Maps does that sometimes, and it irritates the shit out of me. It'll be like it'll say like turn right on Clark after the subway. It's like, just say Clark.
Just say Clark.
Don't add the subway. I don't give a shit about the subway. Like,
yeah, that's stupid.
I hate it. I hate landmark stuff. I mean, use it as go ahead and use it as a reference. Like, but so if like somebody's personally giving me directions and they say, okay, turn left on Main Street and then turn right on 3rd. I'll be like, okay. And they'll be like, if they say, oh, the left on Main Street will be just after you're going to pass Dairy Queen, or you're going to blah, blah, blah. The Dairy Queen will be on your right, but it'll be a left on Main. Like if you're using it as a reference in personal directions, I'll accept that. As long as you tell me their street names. And then I'll know, like, oh, if you've hit the Walmart, you've gone too far. Oh, okay, that's good to know. But don't do that to me on my fucking Google.
I'm not sure if Google does this, but I get really annoyed, like with Apple Maps, if I say, "Take me to Walmart," for example, and it doesn't just automatically take me to the nearest one. It'll go through a list. It'll start off with the nearest one. It'll say, I found this Walmart, which is located on this street. It should just, at that point, say, would you like that one?
Right.
But instead, it decides to tell me the hours and tells me the average rating of stars. And then after the rating, it tells me, would you like to go to this one?
And then you're like, oh, no, that one only got a 3.4. I have to go to 5-star Walmarts.
Most commonly, I will start driving, and then I'll say, take me to such and such a place. And then I'm at a point where I don't know if I'm at like a light or a stop sign, and I don't know if I'm supposed to turn or go straight, and it's going through the star rating and the hours of a business.
Right.
I'm like, I just don't want to know where to go. So I don't know why they insist on including those two little other factoids about the place.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure if Google does that. I've honestly never mapped up that way before. I usually always know where I'm trying to go ahead of time and put it in before I leave. See, I'm never just like on the fly, like, oh, tell me, Google, where do I go next?
I do that a lot. I'll be like, if I'm going to a certain disc golf course, I'll be like, take me to this course.
Right.
But that's obviously doesn't come into the problems with the star rating and hours.
I'd be like, did you know? Are you sure you want to go to this specific? Yeah, the specific. There's not a lot of the disc golf courses that are named the same thing. It's not a chain of. You don't have a chain of disc golf courses.
That would be weird. That would make it so confusing.
Right. Like, no, we're gonna go to the other one. It's gotten better reviews.
It's a different owner. It's kept up way better than the one closest to me. I hate going to the one by my house.
It's ever since it went franchise, it just really the quality of
downhill.
The course quality has gone way down.
Yeah, I mean, you experience going downhill a lot when you're at a disc golf course anyway. So I guess maybe that's not a good way to describe its quality level.
Right. That's interesting.
Say, Matt,
concept.
How do you feel about tackling yet another tongue twister?
Oh, I thought you were just in general, what do I think about tackling? And I was going to be like, football tackling, fishing tackling, like what type of tackling are we talking about here?
Well, of course, I'm talking about tackling your constant girl partner.
Delicious.
Anyway.
Yeah, let's. Tongue twister.
Yet another. Yeah, let's close this episode up on another one of my infamous.
I mean,
tongue twisters.
The stats aren't in to determine whether or not they're infamous yet. I mean, unless by infamous you mean infamous, as in not famous.
No one knows about them. That's fair.
Like you could say they're incredible, as in not credible.
All right, what do you think? Let's do it.
All right, so here's another one of Sean's not credible or unfamous,
not well known
tongue twisters that he
unheard of.
Yeah,
obscure.
All right, here we try. Father's filthy feathers with feverous flavor held favor for causing a falling fever. Falling fever. I read it right.
Yeah, but you didn't read fervorous right.
Oh, it's fervorous? What'd I say? Feverous?
Yes, you did.
That fervorous makes more sense than feverous. All right. Father's filthy feathers with fervorous flavor held favor for causing a falling fever. For the falling fever, father and his fervorously flavored filthy. Jesus Christ, dude. I can't cold read shit. Filthy feathers will be followed forever. All right. You do it, because obviously I can't.
Well, father's filthy feathers with fervorous flavor held favor for causing a falling fever. For the falling fever, father and his fervorously flavored filthy feathers will be followed forever.
That's how it should have sounded.
Guess what? That was my first time reading it aloud.
Well, yeah, but you wrote it, so you kind of, yeah.
I wrote it, right. But I was expecting to stumble.
You did it in your head
and
a bunch. You did it in your head a bunch,
no, I know,
just not out loud.
And the other two I had read aloud previously. This was my first time.
So that's
where.
So is this the thing where I read it and then at the end I say, and this is how it should have sounded, and then you read it?
We could. I mean, you could make one that I could have.
I know. I was trying
to do.
I keep forgetting about them until you mentioned.
I remind you moments before
20 minutes before we're about to record. You're like, I'm going to work on the tongue twister, and I'm like, fucking tongue twisters. So I was like trying to think of one at the last second, but yeah, I was looking up, I was trying to look up ways what's a good, how do you write a good tongue twister? So I was Googling how to write a good tongue twister, and yeah, they're basically just pick a word and then just try to come up with as many words that start with the same letter and then or sound similar. So sure. I was doing that, but then there's the one where you try to do the similar sounds, similar sounding parts of words. So if you take
missile, gristle, whistle, whistle?
No, not rhyming words, but words that have certain the sh sound comes in a various different ways. It could be ch or sh and or different combinations of that, and shoving that stuff together. So the example is Irish wristwatch, and try to say that quickly together.
That's a tough one already.
Do it.
Irish wristwatch.
Yeah, it's really hard because you get the ish at the end of Irish
wristwatch,
and then the wrist at the beginning of wristwatch. So shoving them together, it's just hard for your tongue to make that move to start the second word.
What also doesn't help with that one is wristwatch starts with a W. Mm-hmm. So your mouth wants to make the w, form
exactly.
to make the w sound, but it's just an R sound. So you could say Irish, wrist.
Yep.
Yeah, it's already tough if you get past that.
It's ridiculous. So I was looking at, so I'm looking at that stuff and okay, if I'm going to write a tongue twister, I'll kind of probably go along that route of doing those similar, ending a word with the sound that starts the next word. It just makes it nearly impossible to try to say, which is, it's just weird how you can, your brain sits there and you can see the words, but your mouth just can't make them happen.
Yeah. I started coming up with something that involved a bitter batter, like in baseball.
Oh, okay.
Someone who's not doing well, they're bitter, but then someone who's better, a better bitter batter. But I did something, I Googled something for some reason, and there's already some children's story that involves Betty Botter and her better butter batter. It already exists. But
well, I mean that's that's the case with pretty much anything. If you've thought of it, somebody else has probably thought of it too.
There's probably
We
already a
had
tongue
our-
twister or a poem or something about father's filthy feathers
Well, it's like we had our awesome
that exists out there.
We had our awesome Friends spoof idea back in high school, and then somebody else came up with the same name we picked, talking about that show in an episode of 30 Rock?
Yeah, but I mean, so that kind of isn't quite the same as the point you were just making.
Well, yeah.
We thought of it, but then years later, someone else thought of it.
Right.
Whereas, like now, likely if I were to think of something, it's more likely that someone else has already thought of it and it exists out there.
Right.
This seems to have become something that existed and created by someone else years and years later.
Right.
After we thought of it first.
True. We can talk about that on another episode if we want to. About our awesome Friends spoof idea. That never came to
it
be.
Would take up
It would take up more time than
probably take
we
up
want to
10
get into
minutes.
right now. I mean, it depends. I mean, we're at an hour now if we want to jump into that. But, I mean, that's something we can definitely save for another time so we don't feel like we're rushed to get through it. But
we can save it because I'm sure that you'll want to read the lyrics to the theme song.
Oh, God,
and all
I'd
that
have to,
good stuff.
I'd
And
have
the
to
names.
find...
I
don't have the lyrics written down anywhere. I'd have to try to remember them.
We gotta talk about all the names we came up with for the characters and the name of the show and all that stuff. So yeah, there's way too much to get into. I mean, that's too fat a sandwich to eat right now.
Right.
Our bellies are too full already with release.
Why'd you have to go there?
All right, bye.
Bye.
If you like us, we're on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram as HSFamousPod. Email us at highschoolfamous@gmail.com. If you really love us, consider donating to our Patreon at patreon.com/highschoolfamous. Remember, we love you and want to have your babies.